Now Worrell has a good cutback from him. He'll fire one, and that's going to go in! Now he'll fire one now from distance, and that is in! Creating some havoc. This ball put in. Oh, look at this opportunity. That's missed. Oh, it's Stone!
I'm a husband. I'm a father.
I'm a sister.
I'm a son. I'm a brother.
I'm a daughter. I'm a sister. I'm a referee.
I'm a referee.
I am a referee.
I'm a referee.
Granite City Food and Brewery has 2 Michigan locations in Troy and Northville. Serves made-from-scratch food, brews in-house beer, and even has brunch every Sunday from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. To learn more about their daily specials or to book a private party, visit gcfb.com. Make sure you head over to Granite City in Northville at the corner of 7 Mile and Haggerty, or the Troy location at 16 Mile and I-75.
Their first ball, their first uniform, their first number, their first teammate, their first goal, their first coach. We take great care in making sure their first isn't their last. We're so much more than a soccer class. Come play with us today at kickstarttoddlersoccer.com.
Our mission is to help players take their game to the next level and reach their potential. Not only do we help develop fundamental technical skills such as ball control in tight spaces with different surfaces, dribbling at speed and changing direction, using a variety of 1v1 skills to create space, receiving on a half turn, hook turn, and out of the air, finishing off the dribbling, one-touch, volleys, and headers. We help players get comfortable performing these skills at game speed with pressure and with both their dominant and non-dominant foot. In addition, we help players with their speed of play, awareness of space, defenders and teammates, and also dominate with their off-the-ball movement. We offer a variety of services such as one-on-ones, small groups, large groups, as well as team sessions. We have an experienced coaching staff that is professional, friendly, patient, while still holding players to high standards and holding them accountable. No matter what level you're at as a player, I'm confident we can help you get better. Over the past 3 years, we've built one of the best soccer-specific training facilities in the country and developed one of the most detail-oriented programs to help out players.
I watch soccer on the Michigan Soccer Network.
I watch soccer on Michigan Soccer Network.
لا تنسون تتابعونا على Michigan Soccer Network.
I watch soccer on Michigan Soccer Network.
I like to watch soccer on Michigan Soccer Network.
I watch soccer on Michigan Soccer Network.
Me gusta mirar fútbol en Michigan Soccer Network.
I watch soccer on Michigan Soccer Network.
I love watching soccer on the Michigan Soccer Network.
Back to Vitriol. He'll take a shot, and he'll bear it! And then he'll fire it from Billows, and it'll go in! Now Worrell has a good cutback from him. He'll fire one, and that's going to go in! Oh, then both goals so far. He'll fire one, and that's a wonderful save, Trinity. That's missed. Oh, it's Stone! And the... He'll fire one now from distance, and that is in! What a strike by Ben Maher! Well, good evening. Good evening. Good evening. It is Monday, December the 5th. My name's Jonathan Turner, alongside my broadcast partner, Mr. Dan Stickrat. It is Monday, and that means it's MSN Weekly here on this Monday. It's 8 p.m. Eastern, right here in the state of Michigan. We're live from our MSN studios in Shelby Township, Michigan. You're going to see a new look here today, at least in the middle of your screen. We're going to have our rundown of the things we'll talk about here today. USA falls 3-1 to the Netherlands here this past Saturday. We'll talk about Detroit United FC. We covered here a few weeks ago when they took on Chicago Nation in the round of 16. They fell yesterday 5-2 to Santa Cruz. MSN Super Team will be announced here a little bit later this show. Should Berhalter stay or go? Right? MSN Goal of the Year finals are tomorrow. This has been more than I could ever have expected, Dan, and so much more. Save of the Year. This whole craziness starts all over again here next Monday. We have some soccer trivia to give away a Chipotle gift card here tonight, and we'll talk about what's up next week on MSN Weekly. But we've got a good show lineup for you. Dan, some good news here out of Michigan today. Spring Arbor University claims their third national title in 9 years.
Soccer, NEIA national champs, beat a league rival in the Crossroads League, Marion, Indiana, 1-0 over the weekend. National champions, third time.
That they are. I mean, again, they went 19-1-3 during their run. They beat Marion, Indiana, and again, getting their third national championship in 9 years. So our goal here as we move into January and in throughout the rest of this process is for us to continue to bring on guests. We were going to have a guest here tonight, but unfortunately it didn't work out. But either way, we roll with the punches and we just keep going. Again, a lot to go over here tonight. Let's get in here to what happened here this past weekend. The U.S. And again, losing here to the Netherlands. Now, Dan, we talked a little bit about Team USA here throughout this process and throughout the World Cup. My expectations were quite low going into this round. I know that there were a lot of people that maybe, after what happened with the Wales matchup and then, us and how we really controlled a good chunk of that match against England. And then what we did to Iran and with Pulisic, obviously it's only a 1-0 win. But, we scored only 2 goals in the entire tournament, or 3 goals in the entire tournament, one coming in the 15 minutes to go or so in the game against the Netherlands on Saturday. My expectations were not high. They just weren't. And I know that maybe a lot of people were thinking that this could be a year where the U.S. men's national team could make maybe a run, maybe into the quarterfinals. I think a lot of people were thinking they weren't going to make it out of their own group. They did. And you got a team, and we've talked about this, a team in youth that has not been there before. And when you don't have players that have been there before, it's really hard to be successful. But either way, hey, it's a question I asked earlier throughout the day here today, leading up to our show. Should Berhalter, should he stay or should he go? That poll is currently available on our YouTube, Instagram, Twitter. Get in there and let us know your opinions. And while you're in the chat here tonight as well, let us know your opinions about Berhalter as well, about this U.S. men's national team. Dan, I still think that we're 20 or 30 years away from being competitive in the World Cup to the point where we're like, okay, you know what? Yeah, we have a chance like the U.S. When we look at the women's side of things, the women's side, for a long time, we're light years ahead of most countries around the world. And now that, a lot of these countries have picked up women's soccer, a lot of these countries have, started playing competitively, the gap between the U.S. and other countries is significantly different. I don't know if you'd agree with that or not.
Yeah, you've seen that really in the last 15 to 20 years. You've seen a lot more nations get better on the women's side. On the men's side, I just think at times we're just not creative enough. I don't know if our training at various levels is too structured, but you watch a nation like Brazil and they just improvise. They're so creative. Yep. They're crafty with the ball. They just do stuff, and it's, and I've seen a few coaches I know around the state post something about this in the last couple of days, where they feel like if players go out of the script, so to speak, that's a bad thing. Well, sometimes in sports, you got to be creative.
Yeah, I mean, well, and again, we watched a lot of, I think compared to previous World Cups and previous international matches that I've seen and been a part of, the possession and the way in which the buildup from the men's national team was, I think, better than we've seen in the past. There was some definite cohesiveness through the team in their build-up play, especially on the outside of the field. Christian Pulisic, he's a gritty kid. He's fighting hard. You can tell he's kind of wearing this thing or kind of riding this thing on his shoulders, so to speak. Something you do want from your most talented player on the pitch. I was not impressed with Reyna. I thought that Reyna, I know that people want to see Reyna out there. I know he's recovering from some hamstring injuries, but was not impressed with him at all in that match. And that's probably one of the reasons why Berhalter did not use him, because he did not look good. I'm sorry, but when you're coming in onto the field in at halftime, and you have not played throughout most of the tournament, you have to go out there and perform. And I didn't see that from Reyna. I didn't see him, at least from my perspective, I didn't see him really doing anything that made me feel like he should have been on that field for the previous 2 games. Now, granted, had he played those first 2 games and had more time on the pitch, maybe we could say and argue that he would have been a better player on that day. But the one thing is we don't have luxury. We don't know what's going on in these training sessions. We don't know how these players are reacting and working and training in those environments. Your poll right now, by the way, on our YouTube channel is at 100% says Berhalter should go. That's what they're saying right now. And if I look at the statistics across all of our platforms right now, I mean, 68% on Twitter, 62% on Instagram are all saying he should go, right? Everyone's in favor right now of Berhalter leaving. We'll dive into that here in a little bit. But, I mean, what are your thoughts on Team USA?
Well, watching that game, I watched the game in full live. The other games I had to watch in pieces or on, tape delayed. But 2 things. I was a former marking back in high school, and you can't leave your man that wide open. All 3 goals were avoidable. All 3 times they had a guy who had the ball in their foot inside or just outside the box with no mark on him, especially the 3rd goal. And I've said it a million times, offensively, soccer is a game of finishing. It doesn't matter your stats as individuals and teams. I mean, the U.S. had more shots, more corners, more shots on frame. Outpossessed them like 60 to 40% roughly in that contest. Doesn't mean anything because they couldn't finish. Their shots didn't have a lot of pace on it. All 3 of Netherlands' goals had great pace on the shots. They tucked it in the back of the net. I mean, even the shot, 2 minutes in the game with Pulisic, there wasn't a lot of pace on that shot. Granted, I think the ball kind of scooted out to him and he wasn't fully prepared. I understand he was playing hurt a little bit, had the groin injury, but at the end of the day, it doesn't matter if you're talking about middle school soccer or the World Cup. You have to be able to finish your opportunities. U.S. had more opportunities in that game than all the 3 previous contests.
No, they
couldn't tuck anything away other than the 1 goal with 15 minutes left.
And to be fair, in that 3rd minute shot from Pulisic, I'm assuming that just like I think a lot of people at home were thinking that maybe he was offside, right? The way that he reacted to that, and the way that it kind of happened, it almost was like that. That this is gonna be called back anyway, so it didn't even matter. But that how pivotal was it that goal that was saved did not go in, and how that impacted really the rest of that game. I guess we'll never know. The execution is always, and we talk about this with a lot of different things throughout our broadcasts. Is that you don't get an award for how much possession you have, you just don't. You look at the Netherlands. The United States carried a bulk of that possession of that game. They had a ton of opportunities. The difference maker was the Netherlands only had a handful, and they were able to finish on 3 of them. And that's not gonna get you the job done. And Berhalter's statements is we don't have a Dempsey. When you say something like that, in regards to that player, I guess that's all you need to know. I mean, we don't have a player like that can do that on the pitch. But if you're just joining us, we're talking about the Team USA loss here this past Saturday. I still think we're 20 to 30 years away from being where we need to be. And you can tell me if I'm wrong. And I'm not saying that there's not an opportunity for a team that, gets on a win streak and gets, hey, in 26 and 4 years from now with Pulisic and a number of these players who will still be in their mid to late 20s, they still have an opportunity to do some damage. But to compete with the likes of Brazil and England and the Netherlands, all these teams, Croatia today beating Japan, you're talking about Portugal, all these teams that we'd have to face off against in order to win a World Cup, Argentina, it's not a recipe for success.
But you mentioned like Croatia, it's a very small nation in terms of land size.
Well,
Japan is very small, is much more populated, but Japan is a rising nation. They've got a lot better in recent years.
Yeah, no worry.
But, the Netherlands, let's be honest. Look at a map of Europe. It's not very big.
No, it is not.
It's not like the U.S. I mean, just talking about nations of big size. I'm not saying that some of these nations were even in the World Cup, but the U.S. has 331 million residents, and I still will agree with you that we're a ways off, because even with that many people, the amount of kids that start playing soccer when they're 5, 6, 7 years old, this is the best that we can come up with.
Yeah, but I don't like that argument, and the reason why I don't like that argument is, and I've had this conversation, I can't tell you how many times with coaches all across this state of Michigan, across this country, and the reality is that soccer is a sport in the United States that, one, in order to be competitive, requires a significant amount of travel. If you go to England, all the major teams are within very far from another. The farthest you're traveling is maybe a couple hundred miles. Here, if you want to go be competitive and play all year round, you got to fly 1,000 miles away to do that. It's not the same level. And we can talk all day long about the talent and all the things that, talent isn't always just about talent, right? And drive, grit, all the things that you'd want from your players. But in order for us to be the best in the world, a lot of things have to change. Like a ton of things have to change. So, hey, put your thoughts in the comments. We're gonna move on here to talk about Detroit United, but put your thoughts in the comments. Let us know your thoughts. Was what happened here this past weekend what you expected? Did you expect the United States to make it out of the group play? Did you expect them to win or lose against the Netherlands or in that first round of 16 here this past Saturday? Were you let down? Were you let down by what took place? I'm curious your thoughts on that. We're going to move on here to Detroit United. They took on yesterday. They took on Santa Cruz FC, based out of New Hampshire. Well, they're actually based out of Massachusetts. The game was played in New Hampshire yesterday. This was a chance for either of these sides to go into the UPSL National Semifinals being played in Irvine, California here in February. Detroit United fell in that one 5-2. Interesting game. Detroit United was down 2-0 in the first half. And then there's a red card were issued to both sides. A mass confrontation took place. They found a way to poke a goal in with about 25 minutes to go, and then tied it up in the 95th minute to send it overtime, and that's when the wheels fell off the bus, so to speak, and they let 3 goals in overtime. But a hard-fought match for them. They will not move on, obviously, to the national semifinal. Santa Cruz will, in fact, do that. Detroit United made their way there by playing against Chicago Nation, the fall 2021 national runner-up in Chicago Nation. So, Danny Garrett says, expected better, honestly, but it's a young team. I'm willing to wait for 2026. And we're just talking about Detroit United. We just talked about this. I think we'll talk more about Team USA here. We talk more about Berhalter. What we want to do now is we want to hop in here to our Super 25 team. Something that we wanted to do here in regards to all of the Michigan high school players here, again, from around Michigan. That's why we're the Michigan Soccer Network, right? But to make things obvious, the thing I would say is this is really, really cool. We've had a chance to be part of the Dream Team reveal. I've been to the banquet. We've seen the All-State teams, and what Dan Stickrat did here, he created a list of 25 players, along with 2 coaches that will be announced here, as well as our co-coaches of the year. But really, really cool what we're doing here. But before we get into that, don't go anywhere. When we come back here from break, we'll get into these top 25 and so much more here. You're watching MSN Weekly here right now on the Michigan Soccer Network. Now Worrell has a good cutback from him. He'll fire one, and that's going to go in! Now he'll fire one now from distance, and that is in! Creating some havoc. This ball put in. Oh, look at this opportunity. That's missed. Oh, it's Stone!
Granite City Food and Brewery has 2 Michigan locations in Troy and Northville. Serves made-from-scratch food, brews in-house beer, and even has brunch every Sunday from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. To learn more about their daily specials or to book a private party, visit gcfb.com. Make sure you head over to Granite City in Northville at the corner of 7 Mile and Haggerty, or the Troy location at 16 Mile and I-75.
Welcome you back here now into our MSN studios here in Shelby Township, Michigan. Jonathan Turner, Dan Stickrat here to my left. I'm not sure what side of the screen you might be on in your ears, but either way, welcome back here. MSN Weekly here. It's Monday, so we always we try to always bring the show to you on Mondays, but sometimes we have some games that we have to do and or broadcast, and that might take us away from that. But either way, we are excited to be here. And MSN Super 25 here. We're going to start with the defenders here, Dan. And, first off, I mean, how did you come up with this list? I mean, this is not like all the other lists that we are a part of. I saw Hometown Life put out a list today that it included some of these players, but I think that's more of a smaller targeted area.
That's their coverage area.
Yeah, so, but either way, how did you come up with this list? And as we're about to put the defenders on our board.
Yeah, so I tried to, I'd listed close to 100 kids that were all state. And I tried to break it down by positions. I had kids, forwards, midfielders, defenders. We had some at-large players. Some of these, a lot of these guys, some of them will play midfield and forward throughout the course of a game. So, they move around. And then picked 3 quality goalies, and then we had a couple coaches of the year. We had a player of the year, and then I had what they call a career honor award, someone that was dominant, who actually played high school all 4 years, because today's era, kids are coming and going from the academies and don't always play 4 years of varsity for their high school.
No.
So I figured I'd honor someone in that area because that player was absolutely dominant for 4 seasons.
So Drew Pearson is number 1 on our list here on the defending side. I want to say number 1, just number 1 on the list. There's not a ranking to this. But Drew Pearson from Catholic Central made it all the defenders list. Christian Shannon from St. Joseph. Caden Brink from Howland Christian. Luke Rosine from Rochester Adams. And then Cannon Quadri from Grosse Seal round out all the defenders here on this list.
Yeah, what a group. Wouldn't you mind having those in your backfield?
Well, I mean, you can't get all 6 of them in there, but you could definitely get all 5.
But you can rotate. I mean, you can throw out scenarios all day long, but
I'd take those. I'd take those 5.
That's a quality group. But most of these guys will end up playing in college, I presume, at different levels. I mean,
I would imagine. Congratulations to you. Something that we're going to do, I created them today, is I will have a downloadable certificate, compliments of MSN, that you could print off or not for your, your picture board, those. What do they call those things nowadays? Scrapbooks that your mom or dad might want to do. I know I just got one of mine from the mail a couple weeks ago. My parents sent me a whole envelope full of all my accolades from high school. In there were certificates. So you could have that sent to you one day from your parents when you get older.
I never had any certificates when I was in high school because I just wasn't that good. I didn't even make all conference, not even close.
Oh, boy. So we're going to hop in here now and take a look at our MSN midfielders, part of our Super 25 team, starting with none other than Richie Ludwig from, I don't know why he has Catholic Central on there. That was an error on my part. It's Cranbrook. Richie Ludwig goes to Clarkston, not Cranbrook. Clarkston. I apologize. Maybe it's because copy and paste feature that I was doing here earlier today. But Richie Ludwig from Clarkston High School faced off against Catholic Central in the regional finals here. They fell to Catholic Central in that game. Ali Jafer from Catholic Central, Nick Warrell, another phenomenal player from Troy High, Leo Arena from Okemos, Andrew Billos from Berkeley. Billos had a phenomenal season for them, another spectacular player. And again, having one of these players in your lineup, my goodness.
Yeah, and I believe all 5 of those players are being scouted by Division I schools. Obviously, Richard Ludwig, who plays midfield and forward, already signed with Michigan State, National Golden Boot at the club circuit. But yeah, just a great collection of kids. And all those guys played some forward as well. They are all crafty. They all could score. They all could set people up. Just a dynamite group of midfielders.
That they are. And now we'll take a look here at our additional. These are our attackers now. We have a bunch of them. Kyle Pearson from Catholic Central. Christian Rossi from Saline. Riker Korstange from Richland Gull Lake. Ben Farah from Country Day. Sibelian Roy from Clarkston. John Palomino from Troy High. Another phenomenal list here. Kyle Pearson named Mr. Soccer here as the state's best soccer player for the fall boys soccer season. Just a number of phenomenal players. Again, you look at this, Riker, Ben, Dream Team, right? Riker, Dream Team. Kyle Pearson, Dream Team. Christian Rossi, Dream Team.
And I think I only had 4 juniors on this whole list, and the reason why is there's so many good seniors. There was a couple other juniors I heavily considered, and they'll get their due next year. There's 3 or 4 very good juniors I can think of that aren't on this list, and obviously I didn't put any sophomores or freshmen. Those players will definitely have their due time. Although there was a couple 9th and 10th graders this year that were quite impressive in their respective divisions that were all state. So, if they stay with high school soccer, because you can never predict what kids are going to do in today's arena. So if they stick with soccer, we'll be talking about some of those kids here in a couple of years. But try to keep it to mostly seniors.
That you did, as we'll now take a look here at additional attackers here. Max Dawson from Marquette. We've got Jackson Kraft from Rochester Adams. Josh Pugh from Marshall. Luke Nicholson from South Lyon East. Garrett Foster from Salem, not Plymouth Salem, Salem High School, the Salem Rocks. Josh Copeland from Brother Rice. And Caden Russell, the all-time leading scorer for Goodrich High School. He over 100 career goals at Goodrich.
Yeah, you can look at players like him. He was probably the best player in that Foot Metro League. Another career award, so to speak. Kid has had an amazing career. And then we look at Max Dawson from Marquette. They couldn't play in the MHSA tournament the last 15 years because of the lawsuit we discussed that took place nearly 20 years ago. But he was the player of the year in the Upper Peninsula. Close to 100 career goals as a Division II recruit. So I thought I'd throw him on there because he never reaped the benefits of being all-state like his comrades south of the bridge. So Jackson Kraft, one of the best juniors in the state. You'll likely see him, in that top 10 entering next season. Josh Pugh, another player that I believe is all-state 3 or 4 times in his career. Amazing career at Marshall. And the thing about it is he had to do a lot himself this year because they graduated, I believe, 9 starters from the previous season. So Marshall was down a little bit overall, but still a player had a great career. And Garrett Foster, lightning fast. I'd love to see him in track spites racing against Christian Shannon of St. Joseph. We talked about him. Joseph's another Division I player committed to the Western. He played defense, midfield, and forward this year, just versatile. So, yeah, what a great group. Luke Nicholson, South Line East, a one-year-old wonder, kind of like Kyle Pearson. We talked about him. The first year playing high school soccer, but had a great season with South Line East.
That he did. Is we're going to now take a look here at the keepers, the goalkeepers here for the MSN Super Team. There's 3 of them. Daniel Morgan from Howland Christian, John Kuhn from Rochester Adams, and then Jack Rogers from Catholic Central. Phenomenal goalkeepers. We have at least 2 of those goalkeepers in our save of the year coming up here starting next Monday. We'll talk more about that here a little later in the show. But, again, 3 quality, solid goalkeepers. There's a bunch of other goalkeepers we could have mentioned. The goalkeeper for Athens had a great season, Graciosi. You had Hildebrandt from Troy High. We had Tegan Gums, who's all the way out in Rockford, had a phenomenal season, one of the most top-ranked goalkeepers in the country. But these 3 goalkeepers, very good goalkeepers.
Yeah, Daniel Morgan, Howland Christian, D3 state champs. But when you only give up single digits of goals and make it all the way to the state finals, that says 2 things. You have to have great goalkeeping and great backs in front of you. So Daniel Morgan was probably the best goalie in Division III and had an amazing career. I believe he was pretty high on the all-state list the previous 2 seasons. John Kuhn is a Division I recruit as a junior. Was considered one of the top 10 goalies in the state going into the season. But when you need your caboose, so to speak, to step up in the state tournament, Kuhn was brilliant in the state tournament run, and Adams went from not being ranked in the top 15 in the first poll, cracked in the second poll in Division I, and just got better and better. Only 1 loss in the season, even though they were 5th in the OAA Red Division. They only had 1 loss. Kuhn's brilliant. He'll be one of the best goalies in the state next season. He's, like I said, he's got some D1 offers already coming in. And Jack Rogers, let's be honest, Detroit Catholic Central played about as tough of an overall schedule as any team in the state, regardless of division.
Yeah.
You go back and look at, they started off the season with the Bell County. They won that. They beat Clarkston and Northville in the first couple weeks. And they just went from there, and they got all the way to the Final Four. So Jack Rogers, performed well at a high level all season long for a team that was ranked 1st or 2nd all season, got to the semis, and, what a way to go out for him. He just was steady hand in the back for the Shamrocks. So 3 great goalies. There were several others I had looked at from around the state. Coaches talk about goalkeepers all the time, and there's a few that were juniors this year that will be considered next season as well.
And no question about that. As we take a look now here at Players of the Year, both of these players, phenomenal careers. Kyle Pearson played only 1 year of high school, was nominated and obviously selected as Mr. Soccer here. And he's from Catholic Central. He's the Player of the Year for MSN. And then our high school career honor goes to Richie Ludwig. And again, I apologize for the Catholic Central thing. I'm not sure why that's there. But went to Clarkson High School. Richie Ludwig, a phenomenal athlete, plays his club ball for the Nationals, plays at Clarkson, played there for 4 years, had a great year, a great career, and that's why he was selected to be our high school career honor.
You hear about kids as 8th graders. And again, you never know if they're going to stick around for all 4 seasons. You don't know if they're ever going to play a minute of high school, because some kids do, some don't. But Richie Ludwig stuck with it all 4 years. I heard about him when he was in middle school, and they said, this kid's going to be the real deal. He's as good as they are in his age group. And you look at his numbers and his team success. They got to the Elite 8 in Division I as a junior and senior. They won 3 districts in 4 years. They played a real tough overall schedule. Kid's great. I think he'll do well at Michigan State. There's no question about it. Kyle Pearson, just like the last couple of Mr. Soccers, he just put up big-time numbers for a very quality team. We talked about it. They got to the Final Four. They won a lot of championships along the way. But scoring that many goals, plus having as many assists as Kyle Pearson has, shows his versatility and his worth towards his team. So 2 great players. Going to miss watching those 2 hit the pitch on the high school side, but I think Kyle will do well at Michigan as well.
I couldn't agree more. As we're going to make our way now to our coaches. We have two coaches of the year. They'll split that, but here they are. Josh Hickey from Rochester Adams and Dave DeBoer from Holland Christian. Again, very, very good coaches who've been there before. Rochester Adams winning their first state championship since 2001, right?
1999.
1999, sorry, 1999. I apologize, off by a couple of years. But 1999, they did, but either way, a great, they were there back in 2014. They fell, I believe that was to a Canton team, if I'm not mistaken. But lost in that game and found a way here under Josh Hickey's leadership and guidance to a state championship here in Division I for the 2022 season.
Yeah, coming out of the OA Red Division in the district they play in every year, it's not easy to put up wins, to win championships. And Adams was a quality team all season. And like I mentioned a few minutes ago, they only had that one loss to Troy. It was either end of August or beginning of September, right after Labor Day. And they never lost again. They were able to avenge, but he kept this group focused.
Well, that he did.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the key thing, because this was the fourth time in 14 years that Adams had been in the Final Four in Division I. The first time in 23 years they actually were able to raise that trophy in the last day. So, based on the fact that they were able to avenge Troy in that regional semifinal, a lot of people thought that Troy would be playing either CC or Rockford in the finals when the state tournament began. So they were the team that got run. So, yeah, hats off to Josh Hickey on a great coaching job, because the last couple years they were under 500. They were really young. They had a lot of injury issues last year. I think that had a lot to do with them finishing 6-10-3 a year ago. But great turnaround job as well. And then Dave DeBoer over at Holland Christian in his 10th season, he finally won his first state championship with Holland Christian. They hadn't won a state title in 19 years. Yeah. And they're a program that's right there enrollment-wise, kind of on that teeter-totter position between Division II and Division III. But it doesn't matter what side they fall on. They have a very tough district in either D2 or D3 to get out of. It's not easy. You go back 20, 25 years, the teams they have to face in a district, there's been a lot of teams out of their district that have made runs in the Final Four. There's been a lot of teams that they've had to face in the tournament that went on to win a state championship. So hats off to Dave DeBauer for leading Holland Christian. The Maroons were good. I think they gave up, 7-8 goals total the whole season. That's amazing. I don't care if it's D1, D2, D3, or D4. To give up that few many goals, that's coaching. I mean, that you have to have your defense and your goalkeeping so organized in the back, and they put it all together. What a great season for Holland Christian.
What a great season it was. When we come back here from break, we're going to get into coaching and what Greg Berhalter did here during the World Cup. And should he stay or should he go? We asked you, the fans. We asked you, the audience. We asked you what your thoughts were. When we come back, we'll talk about that. You're watching MSN Weekly here on the Michigan Soccer Network.
I'm a husband. I'm a father.
I'm a sister.
I'm a son. I'm a brother.
I'm a daughter. I'm a sister. I'm a referee.
I'm a referee.
I am a referee.
I'm a referee.
Our mission is to help players take their game to the next level and reach their potential. Not only do we help develop fundamental technical skills such as ball control in tight spaces with different surfaces, dribbling at speed and changing direction, using a variety of 1v1 skills to create space, receiving on a half turn, hook turn, and out of the air, finishing off the dribbling, one touch, volleys, and headers. We help players get comfortable performing these skills at game speed with pressure and with both their dominant and non-dominant foot. In addition, we help players with their speed of play, awareness of space, defenders and teammates, and also dominate with their off-the-ball movement. We offer a variety of services such as one-on-ones, small groups, large groups, as well as team sessions. We have an experienced coaching staff that is professional, friendly, patient, while still holding players to high standards and holding them accountable. No matter what level you're at as a player, I'm confident we can help you get better. Over the past 3 years, we've built one of the best soccer-specific training facilities in the country and developed one of the most detail-oriented programs to help out players. Visit our website.
Welcome back here into our MSN studios here in Shelby Township, Michigan. My name is Jonathan Turner alongside Dan Stickrat. It is Monday. It is MSN Weekly. We love that you're here with us here on this Monday night. We just talked here the Super MSN 25 team. That will be available later tonight on our website. Talking about our website, Dan, over 21,000 visitors to our website today alone. This goal of the year thing has been nothing short of fantastic. But we were talking about coaching here just before the break, and we're going to talk about coaching right now. Greg Berhalter, the leader of the men's U.S. national team. There have been a lot of people here over the last couple of days since the loss to the Netherlands have been pointing fingers at the coach. It's real easy to do. We put the polls out there. On our YouTube channel seems to be a little bit more in favor of Berhalter, as they're saying 75% in favor of him staying, 25% say he should go. But the rest of you on the Twitter world and Instagram and wherever else we might have this poll, 68% on Twitter say he should go. 62% say he should go on Instagram. So, and then here we are at 75% on YouTube. So, but real quick, don't go anywhere here today. Coming up here at the end of this show, we are going to do some trivia. And we're going to give away a $10 gift card to Chipotle. We've heard Chipotle is the place to be, and we have a gift card for you and some soccer trivia. We're going to have one question. It's it, one question, and see what happens. So maybe in the future we'll have some call-in, like do one of those like call-in things where people can call in. We have the ability to do that. I just don't want to do it quite yet. I want to kind of give it some time. But anyways, let's get into this. Berhalter going into the World Cup, his record was 36-11-9. His job, his task, was to get these young men to a World Cup. However you do that, get them there, right? He did that. He got them to the World Cup. Now, getting them there is legitimately, I wouldn't say half the battle. That's like 2/3 the battle. You know, it is a task in its own to get to a World Cup. And he did that. So, do we think that he should have done greater than that? The question's back to you. Not just you, Dan, but to our audience. What do you think? Should he go? Should he stay? Why? I want to know why. Because as a soccer fan myself, who's been around, soccer my entire life, I mean, those three mistakes that took place in that game, all three of those players play across the pond. Right? All three. Robinson, across the pond. Right? Left a player wide open. Tyler Adams, the captain, who had a phenomenal tournament. Phenomenal. The best player by far, Tyler Adams, left a player loose.
He made one mistake the whole
one mistake.
One mistake, and that was constantly.
So, okay, and again, the Robinson one was at the end, right? Just completely left a play. I mean, it just lost sight of the moment, right? Especially after a moment when we just scored that goal, which, to be fair, was probably one of the most ugliest goals I've ever seen. Luckily it went in, great.
Still don't know how that went in. That was just weird how he just kind of redirected in an odd way, and
unbelievable.
I don't think the goalie realized it went in either until it was too late.
So, as a former coach myself, there are certain things you can and cannot do, and we can talk about lineups. We can talk all day long about lineups. Let's have that conversation. I mean, I think everyone would agree that the lineup against Iran was exactly what they wanted it to be. Looking at all these players, top from bottom, I don't like Yedlin. I don't like Morris. I think that I think both of those players, maybe you bring them for experience. I'm not sure why they're there. That might be the only reason why, but I think there's other players that you could have brought along with you. Rainey did not look good at all. Pulisic was extreme. To be fair, was extremely shaky the entire tournament. I did not look at Pulisic and go, man, he is. I think he carried us. What I mean by carried us, I think he that brunt of the weight of the United States on his shoulders, so to speak.
I think he drew a lot of attention from the opposition.
Well, he did, and he got fouled a lot. But I don't know. Your best player on the pitch, arguably Christian Pulisic. Maybe I'm wrong here. Best player on the United States men's national team.
One of, Tyler was
okay,
great.
but I'm saying Tyler Adams wasn't postered all over.
No, Christian Pulisic, is he the face of U.S. soccer right now? Kind of like Donovan was 15, 20 years ago.
But does that mean he's the best player?
Not necessarily. Alexa Lalas was kind of our face back in the 90s. Was he our best player?
No.
Not necessarily. Best defender? Yeah, but he had that flair, that look to him, just that they could marketing, I guess I would say.
I'd ask the question back then when watching. If you were tuning in later on after the fact, what do you think? Is Christian Pulisic, quote unquote, the best player on the pitch? Because if you look to an Argentina team, or you look to a Portugal team, you look to a Brazilian team, who's their best player? Who's the best player in Brazil?
They got a lot of good players.
Who's their best player? I'm going to go with Neymar. Again, they're a different team without Neymar. They're a different team.
He is electric.
He's extremely electric. He scored a goal again here today, right? Scored a goal. It was an ugly goal, but he scored a goal, right? I think he's right up there with Tyler Pele now for scoring the most goals in World Cups.
What was the final? They were up 4-0 at one point, right?
4-1, I think was the final score. But again, Neymar, right? Messi's not the best player anymore in Argentina.
And he's retiring.
He's retiring.
He's
right?
past his prime, but he's still a great player.
Okay, Ronaldo, best player in Portugal.
But Ronaldo's also one of those faces
everybody
recognizes. Billions of people know who Ronaldo are.
I know. But again, does it mean that they're the best player?
Not necessarily.
No, it doesn't. But the reason why I'm bringing this up is I think everybody thinks Christian Pulisic is the best player in Team USA. How often does that happen where, you have a player like a Christian Pulisic who, and to be fair here, the attention that Messi might get compared to the attention that a Christian Pulisic might get are completely different. The nice thing about in Argentina is when you take away Messi, there's still 9 or 10 other players who are really good. Same thing when they take away Neymar, you've got a whole bunch of players, right? Who's the second best player? Tyler Adams. Tyler Adams didn't score a goal in the World Cup. He was a 6. He was a holding midfielder.
But he was extremely consistent.
He was again, but he did not score a goal. Right? Phenomenal player. Helped us build up. Who's the second best player? Who is going to be the next player to start putting balls in the back of the net? Because that is a difference maker. If we're going to talk about Greg Berhalter, we need to talk about personnel.
We need another option to score goals.
We need more. We need someone else that can score goals. We need someone that can score because clearly that is our problem. How many goals have we scored? We scored 3 goals in this tournament. 3.
3 out of 4 games is not enough.
0 in game 1. Scored 1 in game 2. Sorry, scored 1 in game 1. Scored 0 in game 2. Scored 1 in game 3. And then scored 1 in game 4. You're not going to win games if you can't score goals. Now, it's my understanding they brought in a special person, a special coach to work on set pieces.
Yeah,
that was the weakest area of their game.
How many corner kicks did they have over 4 games? It was 15? I don't know. It seemed like it was a ton.
I'm going to look it up right now.
Yeah, because they didn't show us anything. And here's the thing that I think the U.S. may lack, and, people out there might agree or disagree with me, but we don't have a lot of size in terms of height. Look at the Netherlands. Look at Wales. They brought out guys that are 6'5", 6'6". Netherlands goalie is 6'8". You need a tall player that can get up and win a head ball on a restart, a free kick, a corner, something. We seem to be lacking in that department.
Yeah. I mean, someone that can go up there and win the ball in the air is an extremely important piece of the pie, right? The puzzle. But should Greg Berhalter go? Here's my thing, okay? And I know that this is probably not going to sit well with people. I don't think he should go. And here's why. You tasked him with getting you there. Now, does that mean that, he made coaching decisions that – I don't think there's a coaching decision that he made that cost the men's team a victory or a loss during the World Cup. I mean, I think everyone would argue that you'd want to see the same lineup every single game, but that's not always possible. There's injuries. There's reasons as to why you might not, so on and so on. But I don't believe he should go. I don't. I believe he got you here. He was charged with the task of getting you back to the World Cup, and he did just that. Now, can he expand on that? Now, can he take this team of 26, these players from 22 and bring them together for 26 with a chance to get to what we all want to get to, which is to pass the quarterfinal? Can we find a way to get to a semi? Can we do it? On our home soil, well, shared home soil, right, with Canada and Mexico. But can we do it? Can he do it? I think he deserves every bit of the 4 years that he's got, another 4 years. I do believe that.
I agree. But I think it's the thing about just not Greg. It's the whole soccer system in the U.S. We need to develop a couple more creative players that can finish. That's the one thing we were lacking. We didn't have a ton of chances on frame those first 3 games. Defense was great. Unfortunately, defense had 3 brain fart blunders in the.
As a country, we've never had a problem with goalkeeping. We've
Right.
never had a problem. I mean, defensively, we've had our moments.
We've
Again,
been steady in goal.
our-
Every World Cup we've been in, we've had a quality goalkeeper.
Our biggest issue, and this is the case, it's speed of play in an attacking third to create lanes and channels and being dynamic that can create all these opportunities. The Netherlands found a way against us to their whole game plan was to sit back, and to counter us, which they did, and to do it from the width of the field and put balls at the top of the 18 because they knew that tracking back, that was a weak area, a weak spot for Team USA, and sure enough, that's what cost us. That's exactly what cost us. Those first 2 goals were exactly that. Counterattack, out wide, back in, top of 18, one time.
And it was quick.
Shots.
That first
Boom.
goal was quick. They picked up a steal around our 18, and the ball was in the back of the net, 10 seconds later?
Yeah, it's quick.
7 or 8 passes, bing, bing, and then they scored. I mean, it was quick.
So, as much as I am a believer in winning games, I mean, look what happened to Japan. Japan over Germany, right? I mean,
upsets will always happen.
Upsets will happen, right? And then what happened to Japan? They lost today. They lost in a shootout. Croatia's goalkeeper, by the way, was fantastic, right? But they lost today in a shootout. I mean, so upsets do happen. Teams that are supposed to go further, they end up Brazil has had their ups and downs over the years, not making out of group play, a number of years ago. I mean, so they've had their moments, right?
Well, look at 8 years ago when they lost in the semis to Germany. It was like 7-1. I never in a million years would have thought I watch Brazil lose a game in that fashion.
No, it was awful. And so they've had their ups and downs as well. I look at it and say, you know what? I think the problem here is that the average fan in the United States doesn't truly understand. And I say the average fan, and this is what I mean by this, and please don't take offense to this. It's the fan that goes to the bar only for the World Cup during the World Cup. The fan that maybe they only, because we think about this, 16 million people watched one of these games here. I'm not sure I haven't seen the ratings from this past Saturday. My guess is it's higher. But how many of these fans are actual fans that watch soccer on a regular basis, that are engaged in the fandom of being a soccer fan? Or they just they call them Walmart fans, or what's the word?
Well, I went to in the first game against Wales. I brought my laptop with me. I went to a restaurant. I had some work with my day job to complete, so I sat there and I watched the game in the background. I had some lunch, but there was a half dozen guys sitting up at a bar in this restaurant. I mean, there wasn't an athletic gene amongst the 6 of these guys. I don't think any of them ever played a sport in their life, but all they were doing was ragging on the U.S. All these guys, they're faking getting hurt. And these are the same type of guys who are going to they're going to complain at a Lions game. They're going to complain watching a Red Wings game. They're going to complain about anything.
People, again, arrogance and ignorance are part of all sports.
Yeah.
And again, when we start talking about expectations for Team USA, if you have not been paying attention for the last decade, how could you have an expectation for this team that didn't even make the World Cup 4 years ago to actually find a way to get past a team in the Netherlands, a team that has been to a final, right?
That was like 0 for 3 or 0 for 4 in the finals. Time.
We've never been that far. I mean, I'm sorry, but we have to be realistic. It's again, I'm a Lions fan. I'm wearing my Lions hat today. They're 4-1 in the last 5 games. They've had a phenomenal 5 games. They were crappy. I wouldn't say crappy.
Injury prone the first month.
They just couldn't find a way to win games. I mean, you could literally hand the ball to them with no time on the clock, and you have an open, in the end zone for the win, and they would trip and fall on their feet, and that'd be it.
But they were learning how to win.
Oh,
and it's a young Lions learning. To draw an analogy, the Lions in NFL are the second youngest team in NFL. U.S. men's soccer is the second youngest team in the World Cup. So they're learning. It's a culture thing that they've been preaching. Culture with the Lions. Hopefully, it's being preached with U.S. soccer because we've come a long way in the last 40 years, but it just seems like we have a long way to go.
Well, yeah, and so when I think of expectations, when I think about what we wanted out of this World Cup, for me, the biggest expectation is what happened. You have a team of players who have not been here before, a team of players, even in Greg Berhalter, who had been there as a player but not as a coach, right? So it's a different mentality, right? You can't say they're one and the same. It helps you, I think, in those moments, in critical coaching moments, where you can recognize, oh my gosh, this is a big stage that we're on. But what they gain from this run will be so tremendous for them when it comes time when they play here in 4 years. And that's why, for me, Berhalter stays for now, because, again, he earned it by getting here now, right? And they had a good showing. And I say good showing is, hey, you found a way to make your way out of a group. If you had gotten first place in that group, you're playing against a different team, and that might make a difference, right? So winning your group becomes more important than it ever has.
Yeah, the hard part was with England beating Iran 6-2, they kind of put themselves in an unbeatable position in terms of winning that group.
So, but again, my expectations were, if they could gain the experience that you need, because that experience, just like we've talked about when it comes to a high school or college squad, the more seniors you have on your squad, that's more experience. That when the game is on the line, you want your experience and the people you feel confident who have already been there before to go through that and make that run. So for me, it's 4 more years. Let's see what happens. We haven't figured out yet if there's an automatic bid or not. I don't know how that works since there's 3.
But is it going to 48 teams though?
It is. I just don't know because normally the host country gets an automatic bid.
Right.
So I just don't know how that works with this. We have to look that up. I haven't done that yet. But either way, I'm a firm believer in Berhalter should stay. I know you're all entitled to your opinion. Love to know what that is. But here we are, goal of the year. The final matchup is tomorrow. We are currently in the semifinal right now. Noah Yee and Kai Sotomayor from Royal Oak are matching up right now here on our website. I mentioned over 21,000 visits to our website here today. That is an MSN record. The previous one was held just 2 days ago at 9,000. So we have smashed that one out of the water, as we've now had over 50,000 visitors to our website just since the start of this, which, to be fair, is significant because we didn't have anywhere near that going into it. So very, very cool.
This has been a success just on that, kind of promoting. I mean, the site started in the spring.
Yeah.
Company started in the spring.
Yeah. Over 195,000 votes cast thus far. We'll be over 200,000 by the end of the night tonight. So really, really cool. But now we start talking about save of the year. That starts next week here, a week from tonight. We'll do our MSN Weekly. That'll be the first matchup will be taking place here next Monday. We will release the bracket for that tournament here later this week. And that's exciting times, as we'll do Save of the Year here starting next Monday. That's exciting stuff, man. So here we go. We're going to do some trivia here. If you're standing by, hopefully you'll put the question in the comment section here on YouTube. This drawing is for a $10 gift card. So here is the question. What is the record for red cards given in a single soccer game? What is the record for a single game in red cards.
I saw the answer a few minutes ago. I don't even remember this happening, but it is absolutely mind-boggling the result. So yeah,
it is mind-boggling to think about how many red cards could be given in one game. But either way, what can you do, right? But either way, don't go anywhere. We come back here from break. We'll give you the answer. Hopefully, you can put it in the comments section. You're watching MSN Weekly here on the Michigan Soccer Network.
In life, things aren't scripted.
If you're an athlete, we need people like you and translate those skills to officiating.
You can get a lot out of it.
It happens in every town, in every game.
We never have a perfect game, but the rewards always outweigh the negativities.
I'm a husband. I'm a father.
I'm a sister.
I'm a son. I'm a brother.
I'm a daughter. I'm a sister. I'm a referee.
I'm a referee.
I am a referee.
I'm a referee.
I watch soccer on the Michigan Soccer Network.
I watch soccer on Michigan Soccer Network.
لا تنسون تتابعونا على الميشيغان ساكر نتورك.
I watch soccer on Michigan Soccer Network.
I like to watch soccer on Michigan Soccer Network.
I watch soccer on Michigan Soccer Network.
Me gusta mirar fútbol en Michigan Soccer Network.
I watch soccer on Michigan Soccer Network.
I love watching soccer on the Michigan Soccer Network.
Welcome you back here into our Shelby Township studios. Here's MSN Weekly. Jonathan Turner, Dan Stickrad here on my left. We're at MSN Trivia time, and yet no one has commented in our comment section about how many red cards were given in what's the record for red cards given in a single game. Well, we'll keep it going here. We'll have some further conversation, Dan and I. Hopefully we'll give an opportunity for any one of you to win a gift card to Chipotle for $10. Now, $10 might seem like a lot, but $10 I think can go a long way towards the burrito of your choice. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. Either way, it is 8:59 p.m. here on this Monday evening as we get close here to wrapping up the show here tonight. I mean, I kind of like the new format, Dan. I feel like, a little more organized, a little more. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, someone mentioned to me that we went a little long last week.
Who mentioned that?
Someone sent me an email on Facebook.
Oh.
Because we were on the air like hour and a half.
Yeah. Well, it was fun.
Well, we got on that long tangent about officiating, and I talked about that little issue in the Upper Peninsula that a lot of high school soccer fans probably aren't aware of, and there's always something to talk about in the world of the beautiful game here in the state of Michigan.
That it is, but we are excited that you're joining us here on this Monday evening. And what I was going to say, and this is just putting this the thing back up here. Here's your chance to win a gift card to Chipotle. What we can do is I can put this out there, and we'll make this available on our social media as well, so you can see that as well. But the question is, what is the record for red cards given in a single soccer game? We will give the answer here next week. Is what we'll do. We'll give you a week to figure it out. All you got to do is Google it. But the question is what is the record for red cards given in a single game, a soccer game? It is not what you would think, which is even crazier. But Dan, that'll do it for us here on this Monday evening. Super 25 will be available later tonight on our website. We'll put that on social media as well here a little bit later. Goal of the year, ongoing voting is still happening here right now. As we are looking to get the final matchup set up here for tomorrow, right now Nick Worrell has made his way into the final. Noah Yee and Kai Sotomayor from Merle Oak are currently battling that right now. So if you haven't voted, head over and vote. You can vote early, often, as many times as you like. So yeah.
A lot of fun putting together that list, by the way.
What? Oh, yeah?
Just looking at the all-state teams, kind of narrow it down. I'm like, I had to make some tough choices. Like I said, there was a couple of really good juniors I had to lead off, but those juniors might be Mr. Soccer candidates, Dream Team candidates next year, so they'll get their due, and we'll do it again in this summer.
Okay, here. That's for you, Dan.
All right. We'll do it again in the spring with the girls, and we'll do our breakdown on the player listing in early April, preseason, and we'll put together a super team next June or July.
That we will.
After the all-state teams come out, we have a chance to dissect and talk about it, but that's a long way off. A lot of soccer still to be played around the state of Michigan this winter. A lot of the academy teams, ECNL teams, are traveling all over the country.
Yeah. You are a lot going on right now. Currently here in soccer, not just in Michigan. Coming up next week, we'll cover this trivia. We'll talk more soccer. A lot of soccer to talk about here in Michigan. We'll talk about what's happening here in January and so much more. Dan Stickrat, Jonathan Turner here. MSN Weekly, we're going to send you off. Thank you once again, and have a great rest of your week.
I watch soccer on the Michigan Soccer Network.
I watch soccer on Michigan Soccer Network.
لا تنسون تتابعونا على Michigan Soccer Network.
I watch soccer on Michigan Soccer Network.
I like to watch soccer on Michigan Soccer Network.
I watch soccer on Michigan Soccer Network.
Me gusta mirar fútbol en Michigan Soccer Network.
I watch soccer on Michigan Soccer Network.
I love watching soccer on the Michigan Soccer Network.
Back to Vitriol. He'll take a shot, and he'll bear it! And then he'll fire it from Billows, and it'll go in! Now Worrell has a good cutback from him. He'll fire one, and that's going to go in! Oh, and both goals so far. He'll fire one, and that's a wonderful save, Trinity. That's missed. Oh, it's Stone! And he'll fire one now from distance, and that is in! What a strike by Ben Maher!